The story of Enjoy Records and Bobby Robinson. Enjoy Records was a record label owned and operated by Bobby Robinson from 1962 through the mid-1980s and was run out of his record shop at 125th Street and 8th Avenue in Harlem. Robinson's success seemed to be a combination of hiring the right talent and also being in the right place at the right time. Although Enjoy Records was his most acclaimed label, he established many record labels in the 50s and the 60s. Among these labels were Red Robin, Whirling Disc Records, Fury Records, Everlast Records, Fire Records, and Enjoy Records. From his shop, Bobby's Happy House, he popularized doo-wop, blues, R&B, soul, and rap. And among the many Black American musicians who would record for him were Gladys Knight and the Pips, Elmore James, Wilbert Harrison, and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. And who was Bobby Robinson? Bobby Robinson was raised on a South Carolina farm, but at the age of 20 he moved to New York, where he worked in the city's garment industry. He served as entertainment officer during the Second World War in Harlem, and after the World War, he became one of the first African Americans to own a store on 125th Street. At the time, there was no other store in the city selling blues and jazz hits on the same street as the Apollo Theater. In this shop, Bobby's Happy House, he used to play a speaker outside the shop, and Bobby used it to blast out new releases to passers-by. He soon had musicians from across the US heading straight to his shop as soon as they reached New York. Bobby Robinson was usually the first one to spot a business opportunity. Indeed, its ear for music was such good that in 1960s he discovered Gladys Knight and the Pips, and he produced the first hits by King Curtis on a label called Enjoy. However, a few years later, in the mid and late 70s, Bobby was slowly releasing the potential business of MCs and hip-hop groups and street parties. He was introduced in the culture of hip-hop by his nephew, Gabriel Jackson, who was known as Spoonie G, and he is considered as one of the first MCs in hip-hop history. Unlike his competitor, Sylvia Robinson, Bobby never created a hip-hop group from scratch. Instead, he used his contacts to know who was the best doing that stuff, and the answer was Funky 4 plus one more, and another crew called Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Enjoy Records then became the first label to record reputable artists who had emerged from the so-called hip-hop culture. Bobby Robinson was a pivotal figure in the history of black music. The biggest hits he produced were Kansas City by Wilbert Harrison, which sold over 2 million records, Fannie Mae by Buster Brown, and Ja Ja by Lee Dorsey, both selling over a million records. In addition to these hits, he also had hits with Elmore James, known as the king of the slide guitar, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Louis Lyman and Tim Quartz, King Curtis, and Lee Cooper. Due to the success of these hits, and while he maintained other labels, Enjoy Records is known for being an early home to black music and also hip-hop albums. However, Enjoy stopped releasing records by the mid-1980s. Bobby Robinson continued operating in his shop until 2008, when the shop sat down definitely 3 years later, on January 2011, when he passed away at the age of 93 years old. NJ Records released early singles from the likes of Spoonie G, Treacherous 3, Grandmaster Flash, and the Furious 5, and Funky 4, plus one more. Thanks for watching.